It's getting time, folks. It's getting real close. It's getting close.
That is hilarious. It's like Chewbacca.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, on behalf of GermainCars.com, we welcome you to the Humboldt Penguin Talk. I will tell you, the Columbus Zoo sponsors over 100 conservation projects in 40 different countries. And just you folks being here today, actually part of your ticket goes to conservation. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kevin, and he's going to tell you about our wonderful Humboldt Penguins. And Miss Stephanie, oh, there you are.
Alright, so once again, my name is Kevin and this is Stephanie, and we are actually penguin keepers here at the zoo. And right now we actually have 16 penguins here total. Now we are in a process called molting, so all of our penguins are in various stages of molt. We have some that have yet to go through molt, like this guy right here. This is Watson here. And then we also have some in the middle of molt, like Chiriante. And then some that have actually finished molting as well. So Estella over there with the black band on her left wing, she has already gone through molting season, so she's got those nice bright white feathers. Now, of those 16 penguins, we actually have 2 in what we call our juvenile state. So they look a little bit differently than our adult penguins, in that they are lacking a black stripe. So it's very important for penguins to go ahead and learn different behaviors from their parents and their adults around them. So they are going to go ahead and have a little bit of different colorations to signify to all those other penguins, hey, I'm still learning how to be a penguin, so if I wander into a spot that I'm really not supposed to be, don't really pay that much attention to me. Now, we'll see if the penguins come over and eat today. It's really, really hot, and so they may or may not come over, and that's perfectly fine. Out in the wild, they can go through periods of not eating for up to 2 weeks, and it's not really a big deal to them. So they've already gotten one feed today. They get fed twice a day. The first one is really kind of the important feed of the day. That's the one where we go ahead and give them any medications that they get. We make sure everybody comes up and eats. And they also, we get a really good look at the penguins because we actually feed them inside and they're at chest level with us. So we can get a really good look at them and make sure that everybody is looking all right. They don't have any scratches or anything like that. Now, of our 16 penguins, all of our penguins are part of what's called an SSP, which stands for Species Survival Plan. And basically what that is it's a Match.com, but for animals. So all the different animals here at the zoo have their own SSPs, like the polar bears and the tigers. However, penguins works a little bit different, and that's because once a penguin chooses its mate, it typically stays with its mate its entire life. So here at the zoo, a lot of our penguins have been here a very long time because they've been with the same partner their entire life. So here are our 2 juveniles. They actually hatched out in March, and so they are still only a couple of months old, but they are, as you can see, pretty much full-grown penguins. And that's because they gain about 30% of their body weight a day to go ahead and make it so that they are self-sustaining in just a couple of months. Now, like I said, that SSP, it's very important. It looks at the genetics of each of our penguins and knows who is related to who based on those genetics, and then they'll go ahead and try and pair penguins up based on who is related to who. Now, we are actually very fortunate here at the zoo because we have a lot of penguins that came over from Germany when we first opened our exhibit. And so a lot of those birds aren't well represented here in the United States genetically, so we get to have chicks pretty much every single year. Now, we get a lot of questions about how you can tell our penguins apart. And so if you look at their wings, you'll notice that they all have bands on their wings. There's a couple that don't at the moment, and that's just because they're in the process of molting, and when they molt, their wings actually swell and they get really, really fat wings. And so we'll go ahead and take the bands off during that process. However, they typically will all have their bands on their wings. If the band is on their right wing, then that means they're a male. If it's on their left wing, then that means that they are a female. If they have a matching color band, just opposite wings, then that means that they are actually a husband and wife. So right now we actually have 5 pairs. We have a black banded pair, which is Chiriante and Acela. We have a gray banded pair, which is Dr. Oswald Cobblepot and BB Cobblepot. We have a blue banded pair, which is Hans and Katja. We have a yellow banded pair, which is Ava and Gunter. And then we also have a pink banded pair, which is Watson and Trestle. Now, in addition to that, we have 1 bachelor, and that is the Honorable Cheddar McFluff Esquire. He's got an orange band on his right wing. And then we also have three penguins that actually just molted into their adult feathers, and those are the sprinkle bottom siblings. And so they are actually now all single as well and looking for mates. Now there's a good chance that they might go to another facility to go ahead and find those mates and find their husbands and wives. However, we might also get penguins in here for them to go ahead and pair up here. It just kind of depends. Now, all of these Humboldt penguins are considered a warm weather species of penguins, so they actually live right around 70 to 80 degree air temperature all year round. So weather like today, it's still a little bit hot for them, but they're pretty used to it. And they can always go and chill off in their pool, as well as inside. It's right around 60 degrees. Now, down in Peru and Chile, where they're from, they actually do face a couple of threats still. Even though they're no longer an endangered species, they are considered a vulnerable species, which means that their numbers are still quite low. So out in the wild, one of the threats that they face has to do with what they're eating. They will go ahead and eat all sorts of different types of fish. However, they mainly eat anchovies and sardines, or those small schooling fish, right off of the Peruvian coastline. Now, unfortunately, those are popular food fish for us as well, so those, and we ended up in the water. They're not very graceful. Since those fish are a popular food fish for us as well, that's led to those fisheries being heavily overfished. So here at the zoo, we participate in something called sustainable seafood. And you guys are able to do that as well. And to talk a little bit more about that, I'm going to pass it back on over to the MC. But if you have any questions, feel free to hang out, and I'll be able to answer them.
Thank you, Kevin. And then, like Kevin said, what we're doing now is we're looking for sustainable seafood, since most people, when you go fishing, we have to make sure, but since the fish, people and penguins are actually going after the same type of fish food, what we do is see if you can pull up the app, and I have it right here in front of me. It's called Seafood Watch by Monterey Bay Aquarium. And when you go into a place like Myers or Kroger's, ask them. I did this the other day, found out some interesting information. Do you serve sustainable seafood? And one of the places did, Kroger's. They've got a sign up. It says, "We do sell sustainable seafood." I went to another one. I'm not going to mention the name. They didn't even know what it was. So, but anyhow, when you go somewhere, ask them, "Do you sell sustainable seafood?" All right, and that's what we think as the people that we can do when you're going out purchasing some kind of seafood. If you want one of these, I still have a bunch of these over here left. You can pick them up if you're a fish lover. And if you want them, come over and get one of them from me, and I'm going to pass it back to Kevin.
All right, are there any questions for me about our penguins? No questions? Well, if you guys do think of any, I'll be out here for a little bit longer. We've got a little bit more food. And if not, enjoy the rest of your day here at the zoo, and come back and visit us again here at the Penguin Habitat.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Sylvia, are they just like...
It's all in Gulf side. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, you want to go swimming with the penguin.